I paid $250 for 7 days of pain, and I wish I was joking. I'm not sure why I did this to myself, but I just felt the urge to save this piece even though it was outrageously priced. I started off by applying a chemical stripper, which got a bulk of the paint off. I could already see that I was going to have an issue with paint residue stuck in the grain, which is why I always hesitate to take on fully painted pieces. I continued on by sanding off what I could with 120 grit and then 180 grit. For the little legs, I used a carbide scraper, and I tried to level out the previous repairs and any other veneer chips with colored Mohawk epoxy. I then spent over 6 hours straight scrubbing every inch of this piece with a wire brush and some lacquer thinner to remove the paint out of the grain. I'm not kidding when I tell you this left blisters. Now, I don't normally stain walnut, but I decided to apply a gel stain just in case I missed any paint. I was definitely questioning my decision when I saw the jello-like texture of this stain, but honestly, the result was fabulous. I was then able to use my veneer paint kit to color match the repairs I made and the repairs the previous owner made. Getting that combo right also took forever, but it was totally worth it. Lastly, I applied several coats of a wipe-on poly. Now here's the very scary before and here's the after. I'm actually really happy with the result, but wow, this was not a fun one at all. I've already accepted that I'm going to take a major loss on this one considering the original price and the labor I put into it, but oh well, I saved a piece of furniture. Okay guys, I'm retiring from flipping furniture because I finally found the piece that I've been searching for since day one, a Acclaim dresser, except this one was meant to be painted. It had a laminate top and half of the veneer was destroyed on the side, which I didn't know about until I made the 3-hour round trip to go get it. I started to prep it for paint by cleaning it with Cred Cutter and fixing the broken veneer with Bondo. This wasn't the prettiest Bondo job, but again, I'm gonna paint it. So I sanded the rest of the veneer with 120 grit, and I absolutely adore the wooden veneer dovetail fronts. I never thought I'd actually get my hands on a Acclaim piece, let alone for $50. But then I oiled up and remembered I can actually fix the veneer instead of painting it. So I did just that by using my Mohawk Blend-All sticks. They're like little wood-colored wax crayons. It took a lot of layering and blending, but check out the difference it made. Here's the before and here's the after. I'm pretty proud of myself for this one. Now that I think about it, maybe I shouldn't retire. Now I need to find my Acclaim unicorn that doesn't have a laminate top. Regardless, I love this one and I'm extra tempted to keep it. It's been over 2 years since I found this, a gorgeous mid-century modern solid mahogany dresser, and I only paid $10 for it. I've been using it as my dresser ever since, but the splitting of the wood was getting worse and worse, so I decided it was time for a facelift. I started the repair by squirting some wood glue into the cracks and laid the dresser on its back so gravity would be on my side. I unfortunately didn't have large enough wood clamps, so I used dumbbells instead, which actually worked really well. Once the glue dried, I sanded off the old finish, which was basically non-existent, and then it was time for the fun part, the 3-step staining process. My first step was to apply pre-stained wood conditioner by Minwax to prevent any blotching or streaking. After 15 minutes, I wiped off any excess and applied 1 coat of Early American by Minwax. It's their wood finish oil-based penetrating stain, and it went on beautifully. And now it's time for the last step, sealing it all up with Minwax oil-based fast-drying polyurethane. I absolutely love this stuff because of the durability and how easy it is to apply. For a flawless finish, I always sand lightly with a really fine grit sandpaper before applying the last coat. Now just a reminder, here's the before and here's the after. I absolutely love how much depth the stain added to this piece. You would never even know that there was a crack in the wood with how well the repair took. Safe to say I'm obsessed and I'm definitely not going to be selling this one. I was scrolling through Facebook Marketplace when I saw something in the background of the canoe listing photo. It looked to me like a mid-century modern Drexel buffet, so naturally I messaged the seller and he agreed to sell it to me for $50. Was it worth $50? I'm not sure because it was in horrendous condition. My first step was sanding off the old stain and finish with 120 grit sandpaper. I fixed the floppy veneer with some wood glue and painter's tape. Then it was time to address the giant chunks missing from this piece. I used so much epoxy putty to rebuild the edge inside of this buffet along with all the chips, and once it cured, I sanded it all down smooth. I used Mohawk medium brown walnut wiping stain as a nod to the original color. Then I was faced with the task of blending in all the repairs, which took me forever. Like, I really put these Blend-All sticks to work. And yes, I probably should have just replaced the veneer, but you live and you learn. So to seal, I used several coats of a semi-gloss lacquer and the transformation was finally complete. Now here's the before and here's the after. I'm very happy with how it turned out and I truly love the design. Do you guys remember the $1,000 green chair I found for $5 a few weeks ago? Well, my boyfriend's mom found a dresser for me to flip and it was designed by Eliel Saarinen, the father of Aereo, aka the guy who designed the Gateway Arch, and she only paid $10. I started off by sanding and scraping off the old finish. I attempted to fix some of the veneer damage with wood glue and painter's tape. I used plastic wood filler to fix any of the chip veneer and sanded it down smooth. I applied an oil-based wood conditioner on every inch of the dresser and let it sit overnight, which I thought was such a mistake when I saw how it brought out the red tones. Thankfully, the gel stain I used toned down the red significantly. I flipped this dresser up at the family summer cabin, so I had limited supplies and no dust extractor, so I used Mohawk Blend-All sticks to fix the chip veneer and all the veneer that I burned through since it was much harder to see what I was doing with all the dust. My bad. I sealed it all up with some satin lacquer, or should I say, lacquer. In case you forgot, here's the water damage before and here's the after. This dresser is a little piece of modern architectural history, and I'm shook I've come across 2 original pieces designed by the Saarinen family. I'm so happy with how it came out, especially with my limited supplies and limited experience working with mahogany. I found this dusty old dresser at an estate sale for $80. When I got home, I realized it was a Drexel Paragon, which can sell for a pretty penny. This piece had thick varnish, so I used Gator Platinum 5-inch sanding disc in 120 grit since they resist tearing and edge wear. I then began to work my way up to 220 grit. Once I got most of the finish off, I used Gator Micro Zip all-purpose detail sanding block kit. Its ergonomic design allowed for comfort while allowing me to get into these hard-to-reach corners. I then applied Varathane Premium Fast Dry Wood Stain in the color Kona, which happened to be the perfect match to the original color of the dresser. This was amazing because the drawers were in good condition, so I never had to touch those. This stain dried so fast and had such a rich color that I only needed 1 coat. I then used Gator Hook and Loop Hand Block Kit with 180 grit to comfortably hand sand the surface to prep for my top coat, which is Varathane's water-based polyurethane in matte. As a reminder, here's the before and here's the after. This piece was brought back to its original condition and now has a beautiful crystal clear matte finish. This is why I love thrifting at estate sales, because of finds like these. This metal dresser I came across was perfect for my backyard. Upon further inspection, I realized it was actually worth quite a lot, but I was able to snag it for just $120. After a good clean, I popped open a fresh can of Rust-Oleum Custom Spray 5-in-1 Clean Metal Primer, and I went with setting 5 for the horizontal fan application. It went on like a dream. I used setting 3 low output for the edges of the dresser to reduce any overspray, and for a color I picked Peaceful Blue, also a Stops Rust with Custom Spray 5-in-1. Since I'm using this dresser outside and the top is a laminated plywood, I decided to apply some gorgeous marble penny round tile. While that's set, I spray painted the rest of the drawers using setting 2 standard output. Now my last step was to grout the tile, which is always satisfying. Now here's the boring before and here's the after. If you haven't figured it out yet, it's my new planting station with tons of garden storage. So cute, right? So if you're on the hunt for something specific when secondhand shopping, have an open mind, reverse image search always, and do your homework so you know what to look for. I was scrolling through Facebook Marketplace when I saw this. A 1970s Hollywood Regency Lotus lamp, which can retail upwards of $2,000. And I've always wanted one, but I couldn't believe I was finding one locally for $25. And to my surprise, it actually worked. But it was missing about 15 glass petals. So I found a seller on Etsy who sold replacement petals, and I spent about $80 on those. I then cleaned the body with some crud cutter and polished with Brasso, which really helped bring the lamp back to life. I then used some needle nose pliers to loosen the original glass petals. I then cleaned the glass petals that I already had with some warm soapy water and a scrub brush. You would not believe how much dirt came off of these glass petals. It was nasty. I then reassembled the petals and placed the new ones inside. And just like that, I had restored a $2,000 Hollywood Regency Lotus lamp. All it took was a few minutes of scrubbing, and it only cost me about $100 total. I even put LED grow lights inside the lamp to help my houseplants grow. I absolutely love the look of this lamp, and now I really want to collect them.